Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see.
Perfect. So what today we would be doing, we'll be doing a small topic on our tenses. So our topic would be past perfect continuous.
Yeah.
So this means that some activity. So firstly, let's understand what are tenses. Okay, why do we use tenses? Tenses actually tell us the time. So if I'm talking about an event, if I'm using the right kind of tense, it tells us what kind of time this event happened. Now, there are three major tenses: past, present, future. So tenses basically tells us when this event happened. So now we're talking about, so all of these tenses has multiple categories, subcategories actually. Past has a few categories, present has a few categories, and future has a few categories. So inside past, we'll be discussing one of the category today called the past perfect continuous. So something you had been doing in the past, which was in a continuous state.
Okay.
To give you an example, I had been watching TV. You were doing it in the past, but you had been watching. It was a continuous form. She had been waiting for 2 hours. This happened in the past, but it was a continuous thing.
Mm.
Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, can you read?
Hello.
Yes, Kang. Can you see my screen
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Okay, please read.
Okay. Review past perfect simple. Remember that we use the past perfect simple to express an event that happened before another time in the past. Two events in the past and one event was completed before the other event. I didn't eat breakfast. I was hungry. I was hungry because I had not eaten breakfast.
I hadn't eaten breakfast.
I hadn't eaten breakfast.
Okay, great. Moving on.
Uh, Past perfect continuous. Look at these two sentences. Nicole was exhausted because she had painted all day. Nicole was exhausted because she had been painting all day. Do you think there is any difference between these two sentences? What do you think the difference is?
Okay, so what do you think is the difference?
Working hard for 6 months. He was working. He needed a holiday.
Great. So once again, past perfect continuous helps us understand an activity which was in a continuous form in the past. Moving on. Next, can you match the sentences?
Mm, I I had been uh, listening.
That's correct. I had been writing would also be correct. I had been eating. Or the other form would be you had been playing, he had been playing, she had been playing, it was talking or it was raining. Talking would be incorrect unless it's a robo. So it had been raining or it had been playing. Now, if we use the we form, we had been eating, or the they form, they had been playing. So subject is the subject, had as is the past, been,
Sir,
and
so
then
I had
yes.
been right. I had been writing means I am still writing, right?
No, no, no. See, understand. First thing is in the past. Okay. First thing is in the past, but it's a past an activity which was in a continuous form, which means if I say I had written, which means you have already written something. When you're saying I had been writing, it also means that you have the thing has already been done, but you were still in a state of writing. It was a continuous form. It may mean that you're continuing it till now, but it's not always. So we'll go through the rules. We have 27 slides to help us understand, do some exercises as well in this course, which will again help us understand.
Okay.
Okay, next, let's read. Slowly you'll
Pa-
get to know.
okay.
Mm,
Past perfect continuous.
mhm.
We also use the past perfect continuous to express an activity in progress, close in
Okay.
time to another activity or time in the past. The child
Mhm.
was eating cake. He had chocolate all over his mouth. The child had chocolate all over his mouth because he had been eating cake.
Okay. Once again, emphasizing cake has already been eaten by the child. Okay. It's in the past now. But he was eating in a continuous state. Maybe he was eating for 5, 10 minutes, or he was eating the whole day yesterday. So again, it was continuous, but it's in the past. Let's
Okay.
look at more examples. Let's make logical sentences.
Mm. Roger's eyes were red because uh, he had been crying.
Great. Okay.
Mm. Leah's hair was wet because she had been swimming. The
Correct.
road was slippery because uh, it had been raining heavily.
Correct.
Edgar was out of breath because he had been jogging for an hour. We
Correct.
had enough money to buy a house because we had been saving hard.
Great. So again, if you notice, she had been swimming, he had been crying, it had been raining heavily. These are all things which have already happened, but
Yes.
it was happening in a continuous form.
Okay.
Okay. Let's try and match this.
Mm.
Fill in the blanks.
Use the perfect continuous,
Mhm.
past perfect continuous. Shara uh, had been at the bus stop for an hour, but no bus came.
Which one would you use?
Shara drive at the bus stop. Uh, Shara waited at the bus stop for an hour, but no bus came.
Absolutely correct. Sarah waited. So we so when we talk about past perfect continuous, so we only what we try to do is we try to define the time. So Sarah waited. So she must be have waited for 1 hour, that is 60 minutes. So that was she was continuously waiting for 60 minutes and still no bus came. So over here you're correct. Sarah waited at the bus stop for an hour, but no bus came. Next.
David talked on the phone for an hour to his mother when he realized the dinner was still in the oven.
Okay. So would we use talk here? I mean, talk is the correct one, but will we use talk or will add the past tense to this?
Without ed, na?
David talked. David
Okay.
talked on the phone for an hour to his mother when he realized dinner was still in the oven. So we'll add ed, talked, because again, it's in the past. Let's try number three.
He he drive for an hour, 10 minutes when he understood he was driving for over 10 minutes when he understood he had taken the wrong street.
Yes, that is correct. But we'll not use was. We'll directly change the drive to drove. He drove for over 10 minutes when he understood he had taken the wrong street. Just change the word to past tense.
Okay.
Okay. And number four.
The police looked for the thief for over 2 weeks before they caught him.
That is absolutely correct. Moving on.
Mm, I watched the film for
Mhm.
about an hour when suddenly there was a blackout.
Correct. Number six.
He uh, acted in a TV show for many years before he made his first Hollywood movie.
Correct. Number seven.
The boys were sent to their bedrooms because they fought. The boys were sent to their bedrooms because they fought.
Okay. Let's see which one would be the correct one. The boys had been sent to their bedrooms because they had been fighting.
Okay.
Next, number eight.
Paul thought about buying a new boat for a long time. He bought it last month.
Okay. So we can use thought, but if you want to make it continuous, so Paul had been thinking, or the boys were sent to the bedroom because they had been fighting. So over here, we can use that had been to add it.
Okay.
Next, change past perfect simple into past perfect continuous. So this is simple. He had called, which means it happened in the past. We'll make it continuous. How do we make it?
Oh, She called her mother for days before she remembered that her mother was on vacation.
Okay. The right thing would be she had been calling her mother for days before she remembered that her mother was on vacation. She had been calling. We're making it continuous now.
Okay.
Okay. Next one.
Mosh Mosh had been looking for his car
Mhm.
for 10 minutes before he realized that he had walked to work.
That is correct. Number 11.
Karen could not sleep because she had been drinking coffee all day.
Okay. Number 12.
Myra looked upset. She she had been worried all night about her money problems.
That is correct. Moving on.
Generally, we don't use state verbs in a continuous tense. Be, know, remember, like, forget, love, hate. They had known each other for 5 years before they got married. They had been knowing each other for 5 years before they got married.
Okay. So out here, we'll use the first formal sentence. They had known each other for 5 years before marriage. Okay. Moving in. Are the sentence correct or incorrect? Let's read.
Mm, they had been loving the movie from the first time they saw it.
Is it correct?
Incorrect.
So what would be the right one?
They they loved the movie from the first time they saw it.
That is correct. So every time we cannot use continuous. These are things. Love. The use of love in this sentence, putting it as a continuous would be incorrect. So we'll use the past simple, which is they had loved the movie from the first time they saw it. Absolutely correct. Number
Correct.
14, Dylan.
Dylan could not get into his car because he had been forgetting his keys at the office.
Mhm.
Correct. Correct
Okay.
sentence.
Okay. So Dylan couldn't get, let me explain the difference. Okay. Now, Dylan, one instance is Dylan could not get in the car because he forgot his keys. And second instance is Dylan always keep forgetting his keys in the office. Which one do you think? This is a one-time event or it happens every day in the past?
Uh, One time even.
So Dylan couldn't get into his car because he had forgotten his keys in the office.
Okay. Okay.
He had forgotten. It would not be he had been forgetting because he had been forgetting, which means he forgets it every day. But that's not the case. He just forgot it one day. Number
Okay.
15.
He could not remember the last time he had eaten such a delicious meal. Not remember the last time he had eaten such a delicious meal. Correct sentence.
Correct sentence. Yes.
He had been enjoying the early James Bond films, but he did not like the most recent movie.
Mhm.
Correct.
Correct.
Correct sentence.
Absolutely. Because there are a lot of James Bond movies, and he had been enjoying all of them by watching them again and again over the years, but he didn't like the latest one.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yesterday morning, you were walking in the street and you saw a woman with tears on her face. What had happened? Perhaps she had been crying. Maybe she had a fight with her husband. Perhaps she had lost her dog. Maybe she had received some bad news.
Which one do you think would be the most appropriate one? Because you just saw a woman crying.
Maybe she had a fight with her husband.
Okay. So why would someone have tears? Is it not because they would be crying?
Maybe she is sad.
See, understand, all these are possible. Okay. Now, if you walking on the street and you see someone crying, it may be that the person lost her dog. It may be the person received some bad news, and it may be now when we talk about tears, we're talking about tears. We're not talking about crying. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, tears can come due to multiple things. If at times people yawn and tears cry can come. At times, there might be something, smoke going into your eyes and tears might come out. At times, you might be crying because you're sad and then tears might come out. So, these are the things which we can assume, but not very obvious. The
Mm.
most obvious reason why someone would have tears in their eyes would be because they had been crying.
Okay.
Okay. Next, what do you think had happened? You saw all of these people yesterday. What do you think had happened? A, looking at the picture, can you give an example?
I think someone is walking on the street,
Mhm.
and B is she is taking a rest, and
After
C
workout.
is
Okay.
after workout, and C is policeman checking the car,
Mhm.
and D is he's just sitting.
Okay. Do you think he's trying new shoes? Probably the picture isn't very clear at your end, but if
Okay.
you look, he's trying actually new shoes. Okay, moving on. What happened here?
What?
You saw all of these people yesterday. What do you think happened? A, what do you think this person had been doing?
Shopping.
Great. B,
They are like
they had been
uh,
drinking or socializing. It looks like a pub.
yes, yes.
Number C, it's a fair.
Okay.
They had been attending a fair. That is
They have been
continuous.
attending a fair.
And past simple is they attended a fair.
Okay, sir. What actually is a fair?
Fair is what you call in Hindi a mela.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Number D. I'm sorry.
Uh,
D. Very public
granny,
library.
granny walking with a kid.
Mhm. From the public library,
Mm.
which means they had been reading some books in the public library. Okay.
Okay.
Duration.
We use the past perfect continuous to emphasize the duration. If the duration of the event is short, use the past perfect simple. She loved her new car. She had simply turned the key once and it started. Short duration. Versus she hated her old car. She had been turning the key for 10 minutes and it still would not start. Long duration.
Okay. Do we understand the basic duration between past perfect continuous and past perfect simple?
Not exactly.
Okay. Let's read it again. She loved her new car. She had simply turned the key once and it started, which means both happened in the past. She just turned the key and it started. Okay, it started instantly. To short time, correct?
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
next one. She hated her old car. She had been turning the key for 10 minutes and it still would not start, which means she was doing the same activity but for a period of 10 minutes. Is it a longer duration?
Yes, yes.
So this one had turned is past perfect simple
Mm.
or simple past tense. And this one is past perfect continuous, which means it was a continuous event or a longer duration event. The right technical word. It's a short duration event is a longer duration event. Let's look at more examples.
Okay.
Simple or continuous. Look at the sentence.
Mm. Look at these sentences. In your opinion, which are correct? Why? Tony was tired. He had been working.
He had been working all day. Okay, correct.
Working all day. He had been having he had been having 3 meetings, and he
Okay,
had
let's
been
try this again. He had or he had been. Which one do you say? Think it's correct.
he had
He had been having, or see, in this case, now meetings, right? Now we don't know the
yes.
duration of the meetings, so we can say he had 3 meetings,
Okay.
and he had been listening to his boss for 3 hours.
Mm, okay.
So In the first instance, when we talk about the meetings, we don't know the duration of the meeting, right? So we'll use
Yes.
simple form. He had 3 meetings and he had been listening to his boss for 3 hours. What happened in all those meetings? His boss had been speaking. He needed a break, so he decided to go for a walk.
Okay.
Next one.
Mm, Simple or continuous. Look at these sentences in your opinion, which are correct way. Jules felt very happy over the last few months. He he had been on a diet,
Correct.
and he had he had lost a lot of weight.
Correct.
He had stopped eating sugary food and drinks,
Mm-hmm.
and had been he had been exercising.
That is correct.
In fact, he never felt so good.
Great. Moving on. Past perfect continuous. Subject. Uh, the D form out here. Been and verbing. So had been sleeping. You had been sleeping. He had been sleeping. She had been sleeping. It had been snowing because it's object. We had been swimming. They had been swimming.
Okay.
Because right now we know it's a continuous event. Sleeping, it cannot happen for a short duration. Swimming, not a short duration. It has to be a little longer duration. So again, past perfect continuous. I know it's a bit confusing, but that's why we'll go through the entire module so
Uh,
that with every step we'll
Sir,
understand it.
one
Yes,
question. This
yes.
D is the short form of hat. The letter D is the short form of hat. Or
Let's move on to the previous slide. This one.
yeah.
Yes, she had been or she'd been. So short form of had is correct.
Okay. Okay.
But that is also another lesson. We don't use this short form always. There are only specific sentences, specific rules in which we do use it.
Okay.
Okay. Let's
Use
use, yes.
use the perfect continuous,
Mhm.
past perfect continuous. All the sentences are in the past perfect simple. To emphasize the duration of the activity, put the verb into the past perfect continuous. Tony had tried to fix the car for 3 hours, but without success. Em, Emil Emil
No,
had
let's.
learned.
So this is in past simple. Let's make it past perfect continuous.
Okay.
No,
Tony had been trying to fix the car for 3 hours without success.
that is correct. Next one.
Emil had learned English for at least Emil had been learning English for at least 6 years.
That is correct. Next.
Michael and Lily had built their dream home at the beach, but it wasn't quite finished yet. Had been building.
That is correct. Next one.
Isaac had been studying for hours, but he still didn't understand algebra.
That is correct. Moving on.
We had been swimming at the beach when it started to rain. We
Okay.
can use the past perfect continuous for an activity that A had been happening, B for a period of time, C before something else happened.
Okay.
In many cases, C was an interruption of or an unexpected event.
Mhm.
We been playing football for 2 hours when it started to rain. We were playing football when it started to rain.
So if you look at this, we'd been playing, so it is we had been. So this apostrophe D, yes, in this case, this short form of had. So we'd been
Yes,
playing football for 2 hours when it started to rain. We were playing
uh,
football when it started to rain. Moving
yes.
on, next one.
Mm,
Use past perfect continuous and the past simple.
Use a contraction if possible. We waited at the station for an hour when the bus finally arrived.
Okay.
He
If I want
watched.
to make this wait to be past perfect continuous, how will I make it?
We past perfect continuous and
Because we have a duration for the wait, right? Which is an hour.
Yes. We had been waiting at the station for an hour when the bus finally arrived.
Correct. Next one.
Yeah. He had been watching TV for 2 hours when he realized he was surprised to be at football training.
When he realized.
Okay. When he realized he was supposed to be at football training.
Correct. See, understand this. Difference between past perfect. First thing is both things happened in the past. So that's something we have to realize. If it happened for a shorter duration, which is the past perfect simple, if it happened for a longer duration, like in this case, we know the duration an hour, we know 2 hours, we'll use past perfect continuous. Next one, let's give it a try. Number 23. So in this case, sorry, realize always would be in the present tense. So it has to be realized. And if you want to make it continuous, we'll use something like had been realizing, something like that. But realize would never be correct because that is present. Okay, number 23.
I had been skiing all afternoon when suddenly it started to rain.
Correct. Next.
We were sitting for 20 minutes before the waiter came to take our order. Waiter came to take our order.
No, this part is correct. Even this part is correct. Okay. If you say we were sitting for 20 minutes before the waiter came to take our order. But since it says 20 minutes, it's a longer duration. Another way of saying it, we had been sitting for 20 minutes before the waiter came to take our order. So since it's a longer duration, we'll use continuous. We had been sitting.
Okay.
Okay. Next. Past perfect continuous or past continuous. Read the sentence. Is the period of time mentioned?
Yelda had been taking a shower when the doorbell rang.
Okay. We are saying is the duration mentioned. Out here, it's not. So Yelda took a shower when the doorbell rang. Both simple.
Yelda was taking or
Yelda took a shower when the doorbell rang. Next one.
Okay. She had been talking on the phone for 15 minutes when suddenly the phone went dead.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Next one.
Eric had been studying for 2 days when he realized the exam was not until next month.
Absolutely correct. Number 28.
It was raining for a while when all of a sudden lightning
struck. Okay. So we can use simple past continuous. It rained for a while when all of a sudden lightning struck. Because now the duration is not mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, moving on.
Read the situations and complete the sentences. Use a contraction if possible. We played hockey yesterday. It started to snow an hour after we started to play. We had been playing for an hour when it started to snow.
Okay, next one.
Jason was running in the park. After an hour of running, he fell over and twisted his ankle. Jason had been running in the park when he fell over and twisted. No, that's not right.
Let's try it again.
Jason had been running in the park when he fell over and twisted. So I'm not getting in.
Okay. Jason twisted his ankle when he fell over while running in the park.
Okay.
Moving on. Next one.
Read the situations and complete the sentences. Use a contraction if possible. It
Mhm.
was snowing yesterday at about 3 o'clock. The sun came out. Uh, it was raining all day when suddenly the sun came out at 3 o'clock.
Okay. Next.
I was sitting at the red stoplight. After a couple of minutes, a car came behind me and bumped into the back of my car. I had been waiting for a few minutes when a car came and behind me and bumped into the back of my car.
Okay. Next one.
It was snowing yesterday. Sorry. Oh.
Mhm.
Past simple, past continuous, or past perfect continuous. Yesterday we have been. Yesterday
We had
had
an
an
exam
exam. Mm.
because it says
We had an
exam, but doesn't say duration. Okay. Next one.
yeah. I needed to write a long essay.
Correct.
Uh, I think I thought about the question for about 10 minutes before I
Now,
started
it says
to
a
write.
duration. So would we use thought or would we use I had been thinking?
Okay. I
See,
had,
we have a duration here.
yes.
But these exam and long essay, they do not have a duration.
Yes.
Okay.
I, I had been thinking about the question for about 10 minutes before I started to write my answer. I had been writing for about 10 minutes when all of a sudden the school fire alarm sounded.
Sounded.
Yeah. I could not believe it. Everyone stood up and to exit the classroom. When
Mhm.
we walked outside the school, a teacher announced that it was a false alarm.
Correct. So only one would be past perfect continuous because it has a duration. So let's look, will give us an answer. Past simple, anything which happened in the past. Past continuous, anything which happened in the past but was in a continuous motion. Past perfect continuous, anything which was happening again continuously, but now we have a duration. So that is the difference. Again, past something which has already happened. Past continuous something which like yesterday uh, we had an exam. Now, exam we know is continuous, but we don't have a
Mm.
know that to write long as it takes time, but we don't have an exact time. So we use past continuous. Past perfect continuous, when it has been it had happened in the past, it is continuous, and we also know the duration. How long was the duration? In this case, a longer duration.
Okay, so past continuous is also just one word, no, sir?
Sorry.
Past continuous is also one word.
Okay. Well, to give you, see, I understand these are now moving towards the complex systems. To give you any very layman understanding, past simple, something happened in the past. Past continuous, something happened in the past for a shorter duration or unknown duration. Past perfect continuous, something happened in the past in a continuous form, but we have an approximate idea of the duration or a longer duration.
Okay.
When I say approximate idea of the duration, because 10 minutes might be not. Now, these are subjective, okay, not very objective. 10 minutes might be a short duration for you, might be a long duration for me. So if I write, I wrote for about 10 minutes. Grammatically, it is not incorrect, but better way of expressing is I had been writing for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, next.
Mm, Past simple, past continuous, or past perfect continuous.
Mhm.
So we returned to the
The
classroom.
classroom. Mhm.
I I had been I continued writing my essay. I wrote as fast as I could. I thought that I
Word finish. Come.
So cold.
Okay, I thought I would finish, but then I turned over the exam paper. There were more questions.
Okay, okay.
So out here, nowhere it mentions the duration. Okay, so we only use past simple and past continuous. And I told you about a few idioms which are normally used.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and try some idioms. Okay, all of it has four answers. Okay, so we'll do a small quiz. You'll have to choose the right quiz. You have three lifeline. One is a free pass. That is, we can skip the question. Second is 50-50. And third is 25-75. In 25-75, what would happen is out of all four, one would go away. You'll have three. So let's start with the first one. Read the question and give me the right answer.
Mm, when something happens quickly and without warning, it happens all of a sudden, in a sudden,
Which one do you think is correct?
in a sudden.
Your first answer was correct. It's all of a sudden.
Okay, okay.
Okay, next.
If something is undecided, it is up in the air.
Absolutely correct. Next.
Wow, that bus nearly hit you. You could have been killed. It was a close call.
Great. Okay, next.
Something you will do in the immediate future is something you are about to do.
About to. Okay, next.
When you have finished an activity and you will never do it again, you have finished it for good.
Okay, next.
If you believe what someone says to you despite having some doubts, you give that person uh, if you believe what someone says to you despite having some doubts, you give that person the benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt. Okay. That's absolutely correct. It's also a term used in cricket a lot. The benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Okay, next one.
Andrew says that he has quit smoking for good, but he said in 10 times before, and he always starts smoking again.
Which
For
one?
good.
Good.
For good.
Okay, correct. Next.
When you don't have enough time to complete something, you when you don't have enough time to complete something, you run across time. You run
Okay.
up on time.
Which one?
You run up on time. You
Would you
run
like to
across.
use a lifeline?
You run out of time.
Okay. Remember this lifelines. You can also use any three of them. Okay, that is absolutely correct. Next one.
Mm, Jeremy does not like to leave any plans up in the air. He likes to make decisions early.
Up.
Does not like to leave any plans up in the air. Yes, up.
Excellent. Going Kang.
Mm.
Okay, next.
When something is about to happen, you think it will happen in the near future. When something is about to happen, When something is about to happen any day now, you think it will happen in the near future.
Any day now?
Yes.
Absolutely correct. Next.
When something is it's not allowed or permitted. When something is outside out of the question, it is not allowed or permitted.
Great. Next.
When you need a lot of time to think about something, you need time to sleep with it.
Sleep on it.
On it, okay.
Okay. Next one. You have 3 lifelines left. So you can also use them in case you're confused. Okay.
When someone is talking about a moment in time, until now, they can say, so far.
So far. Absolutely correct. Next one.
When you do something every so often, it means that you do it. Something every so often, it means that you do it usually, always. Usually.
Occasionally.
Oh, so often, okay.
Okay. Next.
When someone says something that's irrelevant to what you are talking about, it's beside the point.
That is correct. Okay.
You don't have time to talk and stop and talk about this now. Let's get a taxi and we can discuss it on the way to the airport. On the way. Hello?
Oh, yes. You can hear me? Great.
Yes.
Please read it again.
When we don't have time to stop and talk about this, now let's get a taxi and we can discuss it on the way to the airport.
On the way. Correct. Next.
Can you please move as you are on my way?
Incorrect. In my way.
Yeah.
Okay, because the way and you are inside it. So you're in my way. Okay, yes. Next one.
When someone repeats a conversation, it means the person can recall the exact words. When someone repeats a conversation, word for word.
Word for word?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Next question.
I have been very patient. So far, I have been very patient, but I am about to get very angry if you do not do your homework right now. So far, about to.
Okay. Correct. Next question.
If it's your decision, then it is up to you.
Okay, 780 out of 1,000. You only answered 4 questions incorrectly out of 20. So overall, good job and no lifeline used.